Welcome to AltJake Takes On. And here's AltJake.
Hello, and welcome, everybody. We are back with AltJake Takes On. I am here with my friend George, as always. We do want you to make sure we thank you for watching. We want you to like, please subscribe, leave a comment down below. We will be reading viewer comments again. George, how you doing today, my friend?
Doing great. Thanks, Jake. Hey, always. Before you start the show, I got two quick things and a question for you.
Let's go.
One, Jake and I both know SmackDown is tonight, and we'll be doing a special show tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. The second one, yesterday we saw the ratings for Dynamite come out, and I've talked about it on our Sunday show, Spaces, and whenever we do that again, I want to talk about, bingo, there we go.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm going to talk about it, which I talked about before, and what's happening is really happening the way I thought it was going to happen.
Yeah, no, I was calling you George Stradamus off air. No, because you were dead on about that. So yeah, we will talk this Sunday back at our regular time of 8:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Spaces through my account of AltJake Takes On. Yeah, I think we had over 20 people watching both shows, and then a lot of people watch the replays too. And then if you can't catch us live, I'll clip them and put them on the YouTube as well. So definitely, no, that'll be a good thing for us to start with, because that sometimes is a little bit of a weird point for me, is where do we get started? How do we get rolling? So that's a perfect place to start.
And before you start, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Did you catch the Bischoff Lex Luger DDP interview?
Yes, where they did it live from, what was it, DDP's compound, I guess you would call it, whatever it is there that he's got in Atlanta. Yeah, where they talked about, right here with Lex is going into the Hall of Fame. And then, hey, I try. Professionally unprofessional, that's what we're going for here. Where they talked about Lex getting married, which I didn't know. That was pretty cool. Yeah, that was a good, what was it, like 2.5 hours? I had that on. Yeah, no, it took up a good chunk of my day yesterday, but I was glad to watch it. It was very engaging.
I liked, I know we talked about it off air, but I liked the Dusty Rhodes stuff they had.
Oh my gosh. Yes. That to me, I mean, if anything tells you the genius of Dusty Rhodes was that story that Lex told, where he was still green in the business about a year, and Dusty gave him, in less than 10 minutes, gave him the total package nickname, because I want you to have he told me, I want you to have the brains and the brawn and be the total package, baby, and the torture rack in that moment, which, I mean, Lex used that literally for his entire career since. Like, people still call him the total package and the torture racks associated with him. And Dusty came up with that off the cuff in 2-3 minutes and then sent him out there. And man, like you said, if you listen to Dusty, good things will happen.
Yeah. Would you think the torture rack one is the most protected finish in wrestling, or was?
I mean, you don't think
they able to get out of it?
I was just gonna say, I didn't realize it at the time, but like I keep putting over the Wrestling Bios channel with Reliving the War, because it's super entertaining stuff on YouTube and it's free, and the guy does a ton of great work. But when you think about it, like he just put out a specific episode about Lex beating Hogan for the title right before Hog Wild, where Hogan took it back, but he puts him in the torture rack twice. He put him in the torture rack in the pay-per-view the night before, and that Monday night show to beat him. You really, when you say it out loud, like, maybe did anybody get out of it? If they get out of it clean, that's the thing. Like, I'm sure somebody hit him in the ribs with a pipe or a shoe, or hit him, a low blow, but did anybody break out of the torture rack clean? That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't think anybody ever did. Like you said, I'm sure somebody came and hit him across the back, or,
If somebody in the chat knows, let us know. Like, if there's a specific Nitro to watch, I will go and I will go through Peacock or YouTube or maybe the new WCW Vault page and try to figure that out, because that's a really good question, George. I like that, because I remember, like, with what was it, Baron Corbin's finish for the longest time. Like, no one had kicked out of that till Drew did at Mania, and it was a big moment. Like, you know, those things are really cool when that kind of stuff happens. But because even Lex kicks out of the big boot and the leg drop in that Monday night Nitro where he beats Hogan for the title. But right. Hogan taps to the That's a really good question. I like that. No, somebody in the chat will help us out. We've got some really good people in the chat coming back with good answers and good responses. So
yeah, you mentioned Prime Dusty. Unbeknownst to you, I'm working on getting somebody to come on with us that lived through Prime Dusty stuff.
I like that. I like the tease. That's well done. That's very professional. I like that.
Because it's a work, and I know. That's weird.
Well, we're not going anywhere. We're definitely going to keep doing this, and that I feel like guests and interviews is going to kind of end up being part of it. Back to the spaces situations you were talking about. I feel like that's the biggest compliments and comments I've got about the spaces is that it is just engaging. It's trying to be more of like a conversation. It's almost like a discussion show where like people can have differences of opinion, but we'll talk them out as opposed to just screaming at each other and yelling obscenities or worse sometimes, as we've heard of in these spaces, or, you know, bringing in people that are, I guess, somewhat famous in the space and just running the show and being jerks about it. Like, the only people that can mute or boot people are George and I in those. And so far, you know, knock on wood, we haven't had to mute or boot anybody. But if we do, we're happy to. Like, we're trying to keep it as a fun, enjoyable space. So
yeah, spoiler alert, we have a little button that says mute chat.
Yeah, exactly. It gives us control. That's why we do it the way we do. And that's why the first thing you hear is me going, all right, let me make George co-host. Yeah, we try to take it. We're trying to have fun with it. So
okay. That's cool. All I had for you for the pregame. So what do you got for the viewers for the regular show, sir?
Hey, no, I like it. It was like a good pre-show match. That was good. So the first thing I kind of wanted to bring up was something that happened. I know you're not the biggest NXT guy, but that's something we'll get into at a certain point. I feel like that's my new mission, is to get you into NXT. But something that happened on NXT was another one of these, I don't know if we'll call them the Tony Khan specials, where it's who did he fumble that's looking bigger and better and more of a star in WWE. For this week, it is Ricky Saints and Shawn Spears. So Ricky Saints had a little sit down with Vic Joseph, and then Shawn Spears came in and they had a good little face off and made a few little sly references, like Spears saying that Ricky's burnt every bridge and that he can't go back to where he came from, and which everybody thinks is AEW, but it also can mean NWA, which I thought was great. But what ended up happening was Ricky went on commentary and made a reference when this situation was brought up. Ricky made the reference that, it's just another Canadian to add to the list of people that hates me. And everybody thinks he means Edge, and I fully agree with that. Because obviously Edge called him a vanilla midget, and they had that moment, which I think might have been on Rampage or Collision, which the clip has gone viral, but no one actually watched the show because nobody watches those shows. But anyway, I think also too, Chris Jericho was part of that. I really think that Chris Jericho, because they had their moment where they had a feud, and then that should have continued, and it just kind of ended because that's what happens with Jericho. And then remember when Ricky was seen at the Royal Rumble, and I think it was with Chris Van Vliet. He had the interview where he said, somebody said, it's not a good look to be there. And everybody just assumed Dax, which I fully understand because that sounds like Dax, but I feel like that was Jericho as well. And I think that's where that all stemmed from, because that is that time frame. January of that year was when he and Jericho were having their feud, and then all of a sudden didn't. So that's just something I wanted to bring up, because I feel like no one else has said Jericho in that. And I feel like Jera Hogan has struck again. Well, tried to strike again, but now we have Ricky versus Shawn for the North American Championship on NXT on the CW, which will draw 100 to 200,000 more viewers, no matter how good the views get for Tony's product and Dynamite going up. That'll be bigger for NXT. So that was really what I wanted to bring up initially, because I feel like that's something that hasn't been brought up. Interesting person to me. Like in AEW, he did the chairman gig, right? Yeah. he's still kind of doing that. He still does the same entrance. Well, he did until he got his little faction. When he was solo, he still came out like on the chair with the lights and doing basically the same gimmick. I feel like his gimmick right now is player coach. Like clearly they've got him there where he can still do in-ring stuff because he still has the ability and the skills, but he's had a wrestling school. He is the school with Tyler Breeze, right? I believe that's his school.
I think that was it.
Yeah, I'm 99% sure that it's him and Breeze, and we know Breeze has is working in the PC as a coach, and I feel like that's what Spears is doing. Like, he's there to help get people over, teach people, have some good in-ring matches, probably end up like he might lose the title in this match here. I would think probably not. They'll probably do some kind of screwy finish or DQ or something, and maybe Ricky wins the NXT North American Championship at Stand and Deliver. That'd probably be a good.
That's kind of where I was going. Because I noticed that some of these guys from AEW are coming over and they're taking lesser roles, but they're getting better with the lesser role, if that makes sense.
No, 100%. It's kind of like proving that, because I feel like that's the biggest thing coming from AEW is that with the inmates running the asylum, are you willing to it's almost like in sports where somebody goes from a manager who is willy-nilly and doesn't care and lets the guys get away with whatever, and then going to, I know they just changed the rule recently, but like going to the Yankees where they've got to shave and they've got to wear suits and some guys thrive in that and are ready to take the coaching and the discipline and move forward and show what they can do. And not everybody is, but I feel like the people, I keep bringing him up, but Lexus King, he's the prime example.
That's where I was going next.
He came in and did jobs. He came over as a complete cornball douche character with that silly, he still has the silly facial hair, but now it's part of his gimmick and it just works. And he did that promo. I think they might have been in Minnesota where he did because that's where Pillman Sr. died. And he did a promo. He wasn't even on it was one of the named shows that they had. I forget which one it was. Someone in the chat or someone in the comments will let me know which one it was. But he cut a promo outside, like in the cold, where you could see his breath and about how what he wants to be and what he wants to get out of it. And like after that 2 minutes, I was like, he's got it. And from that point on, he's now, the Heritage Cup champion. Some people say he's not that great in the ring. I think he's fine and only getting better. That's my point of NXT that I keep bringing up about what I enjoy about it the most is you can watch people get better. And I know people are like, oh, but it's on TV, but it's TV, but it's separate. It's like almost college basketball versus the NBA, to make a timely reference to March Madness that's going on tonight.
Yeah, thanks. Arkansas lost.
Oh, shit. I did say, hey, U of A lost too. So that's, that's it happens. I forgot. I did see that. I saw that it was, apologies. But hey, I mean,
it happens.
Right. I always feel like as long as you can I mean, that tournament's, especially now with the teams as they kind of gotten they've gotten more even in a lot of those spaces where, before we were kids, you never saw as many upsets as you see now.
So with AEW getting rid of some people coming up from what we heard, you think the NXT is going to get some more folks joining?
I mean,
they got to go. They really got to go there first, right? To learn.
I think so.
I mean, you can't.
And first off, let's just clarify what you say. Get rid of. They just don't re-sign because Tony's too much of a punk to, have the conversation and let somebody go. There's a couple people obviously they have with Phoenix and Miro, but I feel like that's everybody, because everybody always complains about WWE cutting the roster and doing the 90-day no compete clause, but people forget they're paid their regular salary during that 90 days. Yeah. They're given time to figure their stuff out, get things financially set, make sure they can book themselves on the indies. Matt Cardona can show you exactly how it should be done, of how you're fired on a Tuesday and by Thursday you're booked for the next 6 months after your 90 days.
It's not the end of the world.
No, it's really not. And as WWE has shown, if you go out there and prove yourself, they will bring you back and put you over and put a title on you. But when you say people coming over, there's certain people I think that should, but then also too, I mean, where's there room for people? I mean, there's already people that aren't getting enough time. But I mean, when you think of like Mariah May is the big story that people hear because her contract's coming up. I've heard that it's funny. You hear that Jamie Hayter is or is not been released, has or has not been released, or has visa issues. She's the one those are the two that are most intriguing to me. I mean, whatever happens with Britt Baker, a female talent. Yeah.
Yep.
Because Britt Baker, I don't know. Right? She had her moment. I don't know. I
don't think
she should just stay as
take that chance.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I mean, unless you give her like the lowest level developmental contract, because I believe she has moved her dental practice to Florida. I don't know if it's Orlando, Jacksonville, whatever, but either way, at this point, I would look way more into Jamie Hayter or Mariah May, because both those ladies have shown they have talent. And Jamie Hayter clearly just got, well, to make a bad pun, she got punked because she said anybody be stupid for not listening to CM Punk, and she's been on TV, I want to say twice since that moment. Whenever she said that.
Did she say that before or after All in London, where they just brought her back in the middle of a battle royal, whatever the hell they brought her back in? Remember?
Yes. I feel like she said that after. I feel like it was more recent than that, but I could be wrong.
So they botched that from the beginning.
Oh, completely.
Okay, so it's really not anything to do with Punk. It's a more thing to do with stupidity.
No. Well, they botched it, but then they just I'm just talking about when they just took her off TV and like they haven't done anything. Because they botched it, but at least they were trying to like put her into something. I mean, that was also the same show. I mean, with Ricochet. I mean, they had Ricochet debut in the Casino Gauntlet Battle Royal. Like, that's not it's not the Royal Rumble. Like, I get it where they were trying to, we're having a debut, like it's the Royal Rumble. No, that's not the same thing.
That's kind of how they did Jamie Hayter too, the women's thing, right?
Yeah, something like that. It was some kind of multi-person something.
Yeah, they brought her right in the middle, like it was nothing. Yeah. It was stupid in front of a hometown crowd.
Yeah, I feel like their reference point was, hey, we're trying to be like the Royal Rumble, but I could be wrong.
So she'd have to come. She'd have to come to NXT just to learn how to do TV. Same with the other one you mentioned. They have to come in the WWE way.
Yeah,
they have to.
Right, but I think they would both be, and they're both young enough, and if they got good, and there's clearly good coaching, where they would be fine. Who are some of the other talents that might be in that times that it's, because I've heard different names, but I can't remember any of those. Are the two that stood out the most to me, especially with how the women's division is not only on Raw, SmackDown, but NXT. I mean, the NXT women's division is probably the best in the business right now.
NXT's women's is the best, better than Raw, better than SmackDown. I think that's
from top to bottom. I feel like the top end with like Rhea and Bianca and Liv and Io, like the top end, is better on the main roster, but top to bottom on NXT, you can't go wrong with any of them. And but also too, you have like Stephanie Vaquer and Julia, who they're not long for the NXT roster. That's why they're being pushed the way they are now, so they can move their way up.
And replenish the stock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're gonna have you got Rey Fenix coming. He'll go right up. In a perfect world, you might have Wardlow, maybe Hobbs. I'm speculating, of course.
Yeah, well, Phoenix we know is going up because he's definitely. We've seen the vignettes. Like I know the ones that the other vignettes they're doing. It looks like Malachi Black, and it probably is Malachi Black, but the other ones are definitely Phoenix. Like they showed his chest tattoo. Like that's Rey. Which I think they're just going to call him Phoenix because everyone's like, oh, you can't have two Rays because that's how Vince operated with that. And I get that. You don't want multiple repeating names, but they did it. They were fine with just calling Penta. You could just call Phoenix. They could be Penta and Phoenix, the Lucha Bros, whenever they reunite for next year's Mania. It'll be perfect.
Yep. Yeah. My big dude, Wardlow.
Oh,
I don't know what his contract status is, but he can't have much longer.
Well,
he's been with them. He's been with them from the beginning, right?
Well, he didn't sign with them from the beginning, but I know he was out there almost initially with MJF because I remember when he signed they made a big deal of when he quote unquote signed when he broke away from MJF, but he had really signed with the company before that. But still, you're absolutely right. The issue with him, and I feel like what I brought it up on the Spaces show actually too, is I'll actually put that back up while we're just kind of chatting, in case people want to join a conversation with us. But the thing about him is, I remember he might have re-signed in like 22 or 23 because, again, what I brought up on this page, he grew up so poor and he was able to get the money to help out his family, but he hasn't been injured during most of this or all of this time. Like, I don't think they can add time to it. So hopefully they figure it out and either the contract runs out or Tony. I mean, he has been letting people go. Wardlow's of anybody who could be a success with good coaching and in the WWE system. I don't think there's anybody that I would, if you're going to do like a draft, your number one draft pick. I mean, Hobbs might be right there with him too.
All you gotta do is book him right. That's it. You don't gotta do anything.
They had him booked right. They had people chanting with him. They had him doing the Goldberg chant. They had him exciting. He beats MJF
with 10 power bombs, 6 power bombs,
however many it was. It was the right amount. Like, it got him over. And then they had him feud with freaking the lawyer Mark Sterling and 20 security guards. Like, the next time we saw him.
That's right. Yeah.
And from that point, and that was what, 22? Like, from that point till now, it's just been horrible. If they had him then team up with what was it? The Cole's group with the Devil, and they did they had
he did.
The feud with Samoa Joe, the matches were, the cutting the hair thing was dumb, but they made it almost work because Samoa Joe is the number one talent in that company that can make things work. But oh god, where I posted it was either yesterday or the day before, I think it was yesterday, from one of the college basketball games. There was someone dressed as Wardlow in the crowd that he posted. I grabbed the picture and reposted, "Where's Wardlow?" And I tagged our video that we put, our clip of us asking where Wardlow was on the Spaces show. But it's just getting sad because of everybody else has been let go. They let Miro go. They let Malachi go. They let Ray Phoenix go. And Wardlow's like, "Please, sir, I'd like to go home."
Yeah, Wardlow's last match was televised March 13th, 2024.
March 13th. So we are a year and 2 weeks. He has not been seen in 54 weeks.
He was sidelined after the match in September. How was that? March 8th. Well, okay.
Wait, what?
This is what it says.
Yeah.
His last match on TV was March 13th. Then he was sidelined after the match in September. And in September of 2024, it was stated that he had a knee injury.
Was that written by Dave?
No, this is Grok.
Oh, okay. Well, it's close enough then, because I feel like Dave probably uses AI in a lot of his writing. But even if he did get hurt for a period, like, he's been healthy for a while. God, I didn't realize it's been March of last year since we saw him on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, as we're recording right now, that is a year and 2 weeks and a day. Like, good Lord. That's just sad. That's just sad. Because of anybody who really could get themselves over and but he's still young enough. I mean, what's he in his early 30s? And as somebody at that size with good coaching, I mean, he could easily do this for the next 10 to 15 years and be fine.
Imagine a Wardlow that actually has some training and going against Braun Breaker.
What I said on our last Spaces show, get him to NXT, get him some training. Wardlow versus Oba Femi. Give me that Haas fight all day long.
It's got to happen soon. Wardlow's 37.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah. Okay. Get him. Oh, if anybody's in Guantanamo Bay, I didn't realize. I thought he was 31, 32.
No, he's closer to 40.
Wow. And it's still, though, with the way I know he keeps his health and like modern technology, but no, yeah, he needs the coaching. Oh God. Now I feel real bad. That guy needs to get out of there like yesterday.
I hope. We'll see.
Yeah, no, we will see. We will see.
What else you got for me?
All right. So I feel like the next thing we should do is bring back in our viewer comments because those have been fun and we've gotten a lot more responses. We can do some of those tomorrow too when we talk about SmackDown. But the first ones I wanted to bring in were some more of the fun and the praise that we've gotten from folks, which we do love. Don't get us wrong. We're very happy to see it. The first one though kind of goes back from Anthony about our spaces. Says I think what I like so far is that everybody feels like they're being who they really are, versus people trying to do something for engagement or clicks. Everybody sounds like they're having a civil conversation. I feel like I'm sitting in a room with people right now at the table discussing wrestling, and like I do with my friends. And that to me, I love to read because that's what we're trying to get from our spaces and from the show in general. We're trying to make this more of just two friends who've enjoyed wrestling for more of their lives than they haven't, and would rather just have a conversation and, maybe sometimes change each other's mind, get to think of something from a different angle versus just, this is what it is. I only want to talk about this and F you and blah, blah, blah. So thank you, Anthony. We appreciate that. I know he's been trying to join the spaces, but I think he works Saturday night through Sunday. So he's usually sleeping during our spaces, but we might start doing later times of spaces or change them around of different things too. We're open. We're definitely open. So let us know. Yeah.
That's a good. I was going to, in the comments, 8:05 or 9:05.
Hey, if later works for folks too, yeah, we can definitely do that. I know Jamie Earhart was one who has, and I've got his comment coming up here of the different things where he said, I know he usually joins like the PWT chat later in the evenings for it because of how he lives and what goes on in his life. So we might start doing that. Even if we just did if we did 8:05 for 3 of the Sundays and 9:05, 10:05, or even 11:05 Eastern or whatever. I'm on the West Coast, so it's 3 hours early for me. I'm usually pretty good to work it. We got another comment from Denisha from our friend D. Just great video. Hope to see you on the space. I know she jumped into one of our spaces. She comments on a lot of the videos. She likes the longer form videos. That's another thing too. If people like the longer forms more, we can post those first and then the clips. Again, leave comments. Let us know. I try to engage and respond back to as many comments or every comment that I can. That's my goal, at least for now, while we still can, while it's still just a small group of us here for now. But hey, we hit 110 subscribers yesterday, so keep them coming by all means. Mike Glass, one of our favorite Sith Lord, said finally got to your podcast, my friend. Had a lot to catch up with, but here's another one about George. You make an excellent co-host. So on the background's a nice touch. Thank you for that. We got a little shout out to our friend Chuck who helped us make that, and we'll take any help we can. If anybody wants to send us any artwork or things they think we should add to the show, AltJakeTakesOn@gmail.com. We are not opposed to taking help for sure, but I know Mike was a little upset we didn't read his comments on the last time, so added some for in here. Another one from our first one here from Jamie, which I really liked, was hold him accountable, George. I think that was when I forgot that Cody told The Rock to go F himself because I was way too excited about the Elimination Chamber. But hey, my response was always, I need it. That's one of my favorite reasons of why you're here, buddy, is keep me in line. I will sometimes just start to go and lose myself. Keep me on track. Keep me focused. My ADD will take over. But here's other ones. I love your perspective on ratings, George. So, people want to hear from you. So I appreciate like when you started the show today of giving us a kickoff point.
What was the ratings one on?
That was what we were doing, I think, and that's actually what Mike commented on next. Of was when we gave flutes on, which was just kind of something I did randomly when Skelly Vibes asked me on Twitter. That's something we could kind of figure out too. If we want to do ratings, if we want to figure out a way to do them, I am not opposed.
Just for pay-per-views only.
Yeah, right. That was kind of one of those things of us. I've literally just Scully's like, hey, what did you rate the matches? Because he knew I watched them because I normally don't watch the AEW pay-per-views. So just a fun way to go about it.
And for reference sake, I do have the original thing I wrote down from Cornette's podcast of how the ratings actually were meant to work.
From was it Weasel Dooley when they were only supposed to go up to 4? And
I have the breakdown. So I'll give the breakdown for you when I find it again.
Yeah, that's something. That's a good thing to let me know when you find that, because maybe going forward, if we do get reviews, we can go back to the real version and not actually have this 5 and 7 and 6.5 star BS that it's kind of formed into. But speaking of AEW, we had some comments that we talked about. I guess our favorite spiker, I guess we'll call him, but so there's just responses back to the Moxley spike in the back and different things that happened for AEW. But Daniel Krager, probably our number one, him and Jamie are our number 1 and 2 commenters. So thank you very much. Both of you, please continue to comment. It helps the algorithm. We love the interaction. That's something that we're very big on and looking forward to here. But I thought this was nice where he said, or funny that Tony's going to do what he always does. He thinks something works. He's going to run that shit into the ground, which I feel like leads to what we started talking about today, what you were mentioning when we're going to bring him on the spaces. It's
coming.
Mean, they're not big, but the ratings are increasing, I guess is the word. 6
weeks.
You could be our MJ from NJ and give us the graphs and the numbers of it. Now I'm excited.
Don't do graphs.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, maybe hey, I know it's a little late for MJ on the East Coast, but if he can pop in anytime he wants to, he's allowed to join our conversation for sure. Another thing that Daniel said, which this one kind of stood out to me a lot, was I'm more annoyed that the bat spot was a transition to the finish than the actual finish. If you're going to do something excessive, make it the finish and for like a stretcher angle, which that to me sums up AEW in a nutshell. I mean, it's the same with when Darby jumped off the giant ladder twice, when he did it onto the chair and onto the glass. Like, those weren't the finishes of the match. Or, when they've had when they've had the different blood spots, you're taking different crazy finishers and you end it with a roll up. Like, I'm sure there's other ones that I can't think of off the top of my head, but that one just
the way they lay out a match and have they're the worst finishes in wrestling history. I've been watching them now for a while, and these are terrible finishes.
No, and even if you don't watch the finish, if you just watch the crowd, you can see it, because there's points, no matter what the size of the crowd is. I'm just talking about the crowd that they shoot, which are people that paid to be there, so they want to be there. Especially when the front row's there, you could see them like get up for something and then they lose them. It's like you get them to that. I mean, that's what wrestling is supposed to be. You build them to that point, and then right when they're either about to pop or you have them pop, you get the finish in. Like, that's why it's a fucking work. That's the whole point of why it's a work, is you can get the crowd so that you can get them to want to watch it next week or come back for the next, when it was week to week or month to month, you want to get them to come back to the live show. You got to send them home happy, or home like, man, if that babyface just had 5 more minutes, or if there wasn't interference or whatever. But yeah, when you have them do, everybody spam 6 finishers and then you end it with a roll up, or they have thumbtacks, or they do a brain buster onto a chair and they kick out of it all. It's just
you want the finish to be when the babies are up in the air, not when they're hitting the ground.
Right, exactly, or not when they're walking out the door. Speaking of which, this is another good one from LC Killer, one of our favorite friends from the PWT universe. Is somebody will die in this company. Whether some wrestler or some wrestler would have enough to just punch Tony in the face. Well, we saw what happened when somebody lunged at Tony that he feared for his life. I feel like if someone gave him the old Bret Hart uppercut to Vince situation, that maybe Tony might actually just unalive. I'm not sure. Trying to be nice for YouTube. Sorry there. But just somebody, like, I'm shocked that somebody hasn't had a worse injury in the company. And we've seen people... Ricky Starks broke his neck. MJF tore his labrum. Ray Phoenix broke his arm. Dante Martin broke his leg. I'm sure there's other ones that we could name, but like the fact that no one has crossed over on live television it's almost a shocker.
Could happen. Hopefully not.
Hopefully not, but I mean, let's be real. They're going to have Swerve versus Mox at, what is it, as a dynasty? Is that what it's called? Is that next Sunday or next Sunday? This is the guy who lets someone drink his blood and shove a syringe into his mouth. So I'm not looking forward to what's going to happen at that one. And if I'm a believer in the AEW mole on Twitter, and he has said a few different things of what could have, that they're planning some terrible so we'll see. Which this actually leads me to another one, which is from what is it, Vox Externos, which is Sam K, who always joins us in the Twitter Spaces, and thank you. He always likes to keep the conversation going. He's got some good takes. But Mox, hey, I went to the movies and left halfway through and have an idea for my character. And Tony, what is it? Everybody else, fuck's sake. I don't know if it's everybody else, because I feel like anybody who's got Tony's ear, like Jericho, Edge, Monet, people who like Tony listens to, they're letting Mox get away with it because they don't want to shoot Mox's idea down, because they don't want their own idea shot down. You know, I mean, Tony writes the shows, but with the influence from everybody else, I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know yet. Trying to get into the mind of that man-child will only reduce your own IQ. I hate to say it, but it's true. And then the last one here is another one from Anthony is, I think one thing, and this might be my own personal take so that anybody can take this the way they want to, but did this match between Edge and Ambrose, he's going to go with their WWE names. Did it really need this level of violence? Because this wasn't like a blood feud. To me, it wasn't like Punk or Drew or even Hangman Swerve that had a match that ended terribly. You know, shout out to the syringes. Like the whole thing just felt out of place and just done for shock value. And I feel bad for Will Ospreay because he had to follow this, which is a great point, that this was put on in the middle of the show, which you pointed out, to get the NCAA basketball viewers, which, I mean, I don't see the correlation if you're into the March Madness tournament to want to watch Jon Moxley spike his back, but that's just me.
I think, you know,
it's hard to put a brain to it. It really is. Like, I mean, unless you're Dave, who apparently, you know, pleasured himself to this match and thought it was the greatest thing ever, which I find hilarious because he used to tell us that the weapons matches were, I don't like them, but the fans were into it, so I put stars behind it. But just, it's every time I see the clip, which, I mean, I just watched the recent Botchamania, it's in there as well. Just why? And on national television.
They did it because of the Cena thing on Monday. They had to do something to divert the attention from Cena, and they did do it. They did. No one's talking about the Cena thing. Everyone's talking about that stupid shit.
Well, everybody in the rest in the IWC bubble, because like if you go outside of the bubble, like this didn't make it onto ESPN or Entertainment Tonight. Or I just recently saw someone sent me on Twitter that Sour Patch Kids made some sort of joke where they took out the sour in their name and they like basically recreated John Cena's tweet or John Cena's promo in their tweet about it. You know, it making it into mainstream level. They're saying they're breaking up with you and stuff like that, as where, you know, this is just, it's making the rounds in the IWC, but like how many people saw that versus how many people watched not only Cena's two promos as a heel, but the heel turn in general. I get what Tony thinks he's doing.
All Tony's concerned about is those people. And
he thinks he's competition, and he's just not. You know, which I'm sure we can bring up on, you know, on Sunday Night Spaces when we talk to on March 30th. It would join us at 8:05 Eastern. Through my Twitter account, AltJakeTakesOn. I usually try to set it up a couple hours beforehand so you can get ready to join, we'll be set to put in there for it here. I feel like that kind of wraps us up for the day. We've kind of gone for a nice 40 minutes here today. That kind of sets us up for a good show, and we're going to reconnect tomorrow. We'll put out more content, but is there anything else that you've got for us here today, George? Any other?
No, I'm getting psyched up for tomorrow. So
perfect. Well, I'm stoked to watch SmackDown tonight. And thanks everybody for listening. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment. We will bring them on air. I've got 2 other pages of comments to read as well. So we will bring those up. Thanks again, everybody. Thanks for listening.